Is it Pablo Torre?
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Okay, he's a podcaster. I'm sorry, Jim. Can you ID him for me?
I don't know. He used to be on ESPN.
Yeah, he used to be on ESPN. I think I had to ask a question, too, though. He used to be on Around the Horn, and Katie Nolan is part of the crew on his podcast.
No sign of disrespect. I just wasn't familiar with. So now I recognize who you're talking about.
He used to write for ESPN, the magazine, too. I mean, he was a, big J journalist in terms of, doing investigative stuff. And obviously he appeared on the TV stuff, but he's capable of doing investigative journalism. He's not really a hot take artist.
He's a real guy, okay?
Yes.
So I'm not doing justice by saying a podcaster or whatever. Okay. He reports that today. Murray, you've been reporting what? That the University of North Carolina then came out today and said what?
They put out a statement saying that Jordon Hudson is a welcome guest at football facilities after these reports claim she had been banned by the school. And, in fact, Pablo Torre followed this up with a tweet saying, P.S. UNC can now choose to describe or change their position on Jordon Hudson's involvement however it wishes following the publication of our episode. We requested comment and filed dozens of FOIA requests that were not satisfied. We stand by the specific reporting in our episode, which came from the highest levels of the football program.
That's known as FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request. The FOIA request. Yeah.
Your thoughts, Gasper. Suffice to say, Murray has not been filing many of those in his career, but either way, go ahead.
And no FOIAs? Yeah, no FOIA requests. Yeah, I mean, so my thought here is when you look at the statement, right, and I see what they're doing with the statement. It's like, oh, no, she's not banned from the building. But you know what the statement doesn't say? It doesn't say that she's not banned from representing the University of North Carolina or the University of North Carolina football program, or that she's not banned from involvement in things that have to do with the football program, i.e. being CC'd on emails. It doesn't say that. This to me is a classic case of this statement is more notable for what it doesn't say than what it does say. It doesn't say that it's status quo with her like it was before and that she's welcome at practice and all that other stuff. And it doesn't specifically address her role in the football program. It just addresses she's not banned from the facilities, which makes sense as the significant other of the coach. I mean, do you think they were banning Terry Saban down in Tuscaloosa from coming in and saying hello to her husband? No, but they also, even though Terry Saban was very involved in that program and involved with the players, she also wasn't acting as a spokesperson for the University of Alabama or as involved as Jordon Hudson is. So I think this is a classic case of what they're not saying is more important than what they are saying. And I am team Pablo Torre on this because he is a legitimate journalist and he's not someone that's just going to throw this out there. So I think this is the best version of cleanup that North Carolina could do in seizing on, oh no, she can go in the building. Yeah. As Bill's girlfriend. She can't be in the building as whatever role she and Bill previously had her doing, like overseer of, brand manager for North Carolina football. I think those days are over. No more CCing Jordan on emails.
The whole thing is such an embarrassment.
It is. I agree.
It's so embarrassing, Mazz. Go ahead.
Yeah, so no, and I felt Chris got into much more detail than I would have. Not that should be a shock to you, but but my upon seeing that statement, my reaction was the same. Okay, so she's allowed in the facility. Is she allowed on the field? Like, that was my initial reaction, but I think Chris is probably more on to the essence of it, which is, yeah, and the other thing is, doesn't it specifically say again, and I know we just read it, that she is she is his representative on individual matters or something like that regarding, as if to say, she's got nothing to do with North Carolina.
Yeah, it says Jordan will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside of his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university. Well, his responsibilities and what's going on, that's like 90% of his public facing stuff at this point is North Carolina. The other 10% is like this book tour and what he did here in New England. So, I mean, they've cut her off and cut her out. There's no other way to look at this.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer to me because when it first came out this morning, this Pablo Torre podcast thing, they're talking about it, and it's following the news that Belichick had hired another PR person that used to be with the Bears. I was like, oh, he's trying to worm his way out of this relationship. He's trying to ice her out, like get this pain in the ass out of my life. But that now that we get that UNC statement, I don't think that it's that.
Here, Kevin, give me the second half of the Pablo Torre bit there with it's on the Kay Adams podcast, Pablo Torre. He said, I had two bits of breaking news. One is she's banned from the facilities, and then there was a second part. Go ahead.
The second update is that Bill Belichick's family is extraordinarily concerned about what has transpired. One Belichick family source told me, quote, there is deep worry for how detrimental Jordon can be for not just North Carolina, but Bill's legacy, reputation, everything he has built and worked for over decades, end quote. In fact, the family has been digging into Jordon Hudson as well.
Boy. Here we go. The whole thing is such an embarrassment to him. And it is what a fall from grace, what a fall from the pedestal.
Real shame.
Everyone, I mean, deserving. I'm not saying it's not deserving, but the exalted place he had, the master tactician and the chess checkers, the hoodie, the genius, and this impervious, guy that just manipulated everything and was one step ahead and was just dialed in and locked down in military precision. And now here we are, he's being called out by a public, as a figurehead in a public university, potentially wasting public funds with this girl and the family digging in, and the guy that was the ultimate no distraction is perhaps having his girlfriend banned from the facility or doing certain things. Like the whole thing, like what an embarrassment to Bill Belichick, I think is a master of the obvious statement, but it just strikes me. This is like another new low to me. No matter how true or untrue or what the area of gray is, the whole thing is such an embarrassment, Chris.
No, I mean, I agree. And I feel for Bill, in a way. I really do. And I think he's gotten to a point in his life. Like, I don't think some people said, has he lost it mentally? I don't think that's it. I think he's just gotten to a point in his life where he keeps his circle really small and he, trusts who he trusts. And that's been part of the problem here. And this is what I know the other night. I think I was on Early Edition. I talked about this. This is a pattern that precedes Jordon Hudson. This is the same type of decision making that gave you Matt Patricia and Joe Judge running your offense. He's looking at it and saying, these are people I like. They're people I trust. They're people I'm familiar with. They're people I'm comfortable with. And I'm going to put them in these positions. And that trumps their capability or their qualifications. And to me, that's the most concerning part if he wants to ever get back to the NFL is that. How could you look at this as an owner? How could you look at this as someone with an NFL franchise and say, I can trust this guy. I can put him in charge of my operation when all of his decision-making at this point in his life is skewed by who do I like being around and who do I trust, not who can do the job.
I'm curious. She didn't have a title or a salary. Was she on staff technically? Do we know that?
At
UNC?
Yeah.
No, I don't think she ever was.
Okay.
Nope.
I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, Bill brought a ton of people. I mean, Lombardi is the most obvious, but Chris, aren't there like gaggles of other administrators there that are part of his? I can't remember the name of the kid that he brought. I think even from here, and he brought a bunch of people that put him on staff down there.
Yeah, I mean, Lombardi might be a worse hire than Jordon Hudson.
I mean, can you imagine your tax dollars going to that guy?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's a tough look for them. Yeah, but again, this is a pattern. I mean, you saw it even goes. You remember when Matt Groh got elevated to director of player personnel? And at the time, there were some of us who were saying like, hey, like, Matt's done at the time, Matt's done a good job on the college side, but he has no pro personnel experience. Whereas here's Elliott Wolf, who's good on the college side and has been an assistant GM and, was director of player personnel in Green Bay. He has a lot more experience than Matt. That's just kind of weird. And now you look at this stuff and you start connecting. When Adrian Clem came here as the offensive line coach, and it was like, well, he couldn't hack it in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin's kind of a lenient guy. It didn't work out there. What's the thing here with Adrian Clem? It's just him. It's just Bill hiring a bunch of toadies that are close to him and that he trusts. He's just sort of blinded in a way. The most important thing to him is not your capability, it's your loyalty. And he trusts these people because he feels like above all else, they're going to be loyal to him. And it's put him in a tough spot. And I feel for her too, honestly. Like, I know she's an easy target, but we've all been young and been in a position where we thought we knew everything, right? And we thought we were more ready for something than we were. Like, why is he putting her in a position to be basically his chief brand officer? Like, I don't care how much experience you have in being a publicist or PR, media relations marketing. Bill would be an exceedingly challenging client to work for and represent. Never mind if you're 24 and you have no formal training or experience and you're trying to navigate that. So it's just a terrible decision by him that's put them both in a really bad light.
Why? Oh, I have the answer why, Chris, because even the smartest man in football can become a complete moron if he let himself become too horny, which he did.
Which head is he thinking with?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
But that, as we said before, nothing new with Belichick.